Hello everyone, this is a Capestone presentation and a PESTEL trends to Afghanistan. This PESTEL trend is going to be talking about politics, economy, some social and culture, technology, legal and environmental. This presentation is also going to talk about some investment risks and investment opportunities to Afghanistan economy. There are also a few video clips that we took while interviewing a professional business person, and it will talk about diversity. It's a cross-culture management class that we took, and it will be focusing on the diversity of their business.
Micropolitical. In addition to the parliamentary and presidency, the government is still struggling with control of the regions while sticking to the unitary form of government, which has its disadvantage in controlling a very diverse country, which is still truly not rid of the Taliban insurgency. Fortunately, talks of peace are arising between the government and the Taliban forces in the past years, and the government are going to the extent of recognizing the Taliban as a political party, which may create some future conflicts due to the different factions inside the Taliban that share different ideologies. In the end, the country is still fractured and kept under heavy surveillance by NATO, and this culture of surveillance has deeply influenced the many inhabitants of Afghanistan. Fortunately, in the present day, other countries after the 2014 hiatus, the country seems to be following a democratic election. Sadly, sabotages from terrorist extremist groups constantly are taking lives of innocent people and creating even more hurdles for the country to pass over. And it seems that the future of Afghanistan is not an easy one.
Economical factors. A trend in Afghanistan regarding its economy is the relationship between terrorist groups and the economy. Fear and feeling unsafe is a very bad environment for local businesses. Terrorists in Afghanistan have been trying to find a way for the growth of illicit economy to access more sources of revenue. With their persistent attacks on major cities, terrorists have caused a human capital to leave Afghanistan. Insecurity has destroyed many hopes for the future, with engagement between sellers and buyers brought into a minimum as they fear for their lives.
This slide will be talking about the social cultural trend of Afghanistan. Nowadays, there's new trends called the cafe hip hangouts. These cafes are places for the young generation to meet, uh, chat, also socialize, and smoke in hookah. Um, Even though Afghanistan's culture is uh, a very conservative culture, Islamic culture, these behaviors are not acceptable and also considered to be against their culture and religion as well. A lot of these also hangouts have been raided by the police forces and considered to be inappropriate. These hangouts are not only um, for students, but also there are some activists, journalists, and also enthusiasts. They are taking part of this, uh, where they want to have a little more freedom and more democratic culture. It's still being resisted, though. It is not acceptable, even though As you can tell, Afghanistan is still part of it not safe, where Taliban are still active and resisting these behaviors.
Technological factors. A technological trend present in Afghanistan is the use of technology to empower women. Afghan women are leaving the boundaries and restrictions which are imposed by religious extremism within the country. The slow but steady process of Afghan women empowerment is a result of information and communication technology, or ICTs. ICTs consist primarily of mobile phones and internet. A big influencer of this trend is an Afghan woman named Roya Mahbub. She is the founder of the Afghan Citadel software company, and she became the first woman to run a software company in Afghanistan. She is working currently with a company called Film Annex to build internet classrooms in Afghanistan aimed to open new way of education and learning at schools in Afghanistan itself. Access to mobile and internet technologies are being increasingly available for Afghan women today. They are getting used to different information services and creating their own social networks. There is still a long road ahead of us to ensure fair, equal access to information and communication for women. This is due to many obstacles such as literacy rate for women, which is between 9 and 18%, the lowest in the world. Ongoing violence and intimidation threaten primary school education for girls and indeed for all children. Despite of the obstacles slowing the process down, the trend observed in modern-day Afghanistan indicates a positive increased presence of women.
Now, to the micro legal aspect, we were talking about the businessmen, the people that work, and some of the laws concerning these people and foreign laborers. The country of Afghanistan has a small restriction. For example, they do to prioritize Afghanistan labor than foreign labor. And like many other countries, a work permit is always mandatory for every foreign laborer. In terms of ease of doing business, Afghanistan is one of the hardest countries to do business in, due to the enforcement of law, which varies around the area that you do business in. In a Pashtun area, Pashtunwali would be the form of law that will be followed, and enforcements of law will be done by Pashtun tribal members. And in the cities, the enforcements of laws will be enforced by local law enforcement units. It's also hard to invest in the country itself due to the high corruptivity and the unstable government. And the only way that I think that would be viable to invest in Afghanistan in this time around is by having full government coverage or having a private military protection. But in the near future, we might see change. It might become much more easier for other foreign investors to come invest and to finally change Afghanistan for the better.
Micro environmental trending. Canada government is seeking the opportunity to help Afghanistan reduce the carbon footprint. Afghanistan has a limited resource and technology. However, Afghanistan has manpower, availability, and potential of carbon sequestration. Government of Canada is willing to invest 100 million for the next 25 years in non-governmental investment forestation in Afghanistan. Environmental risks. First, North Kabul since 2001 to 2016, they had lost 1.78 car of 3 cover. This had an impact on wildlife and small mammals such as birds, and including the fact that people could not access through the energy, so they start to cutting down the tree, and this one problem has led an increasing the temperature rising. Second, energy and natural disaster. The natural hazards have destroyed on hydropower generation. An example of natural disaster: earthquake, flooding, temperature rising. Third, land use and agriculture and soils. Most of the land had lost the upper layer part of soil. It cannot use to grow corn and other agriculture products. The biggest issue in Afghanistan is the certification in land use. Fourth, urban environment. Urban environment is relocated and under threat. Most of the roads are destroyed and quality of life is hard to access through water and electricity. Fifth, water resource. Only 27% out of the population inside Afghanistan can access to clean water. Most of the waterway or pump stations had damage from the war. Environmental opportunities. First, oil and gas. Afghanistan has natural gas that can reserve last for the next 2,000 years. Afghanistan has exported the oil petroleum to their neighbor countries. However, this could be one opportunity to help their country developing economic. Second, mining opportunities. Afghanistan is developing an offer on miner agreement. There are some valuable resources that attack for the investor, such as gold, coal, lithium, rare element, and uranium, but still in the private sector business. Third, the carpet sector. This is one of the traditional Afghanistan skill in private rural business by using wool, silk, and cotton to handmade produce the high priority of carpet, which is make a lot of income to family members. Fourth, the agriculture business. There are several high quality of export agriculture products, such as dry fruit and including of peanut and almond. An estimated 30% of Afghanistan GDP, with around 85% of the Afghanistan population dependent on agriculture productivity. Fifth, the marble sector. Afghanistan is well known as a country that produces high quality of a marble with 400 varieties of marbles. This is the business that contributes a lot of jobs and benefit to rural area. Most of the consumers that purchases this product are USA, Italy.
Assalamu alaikum. Alaikum salam. Today we are interviewing Mr. Husni Hamid from Pan Asia International School. He's the head or chairman of the school and also one of the founders of the school. We are conducting an interview with him today for cross-cultural management class about diversity. Before we start our questions, can you please give us a little bit personal introduction about yourself, about your school, how did the idea came up to be founded, and how did you get that in Thailand?
Well, I'm originally Jordanian. I was born in the West Bank of Jordan in 1957, and those days it was considered as part of Jordan, West Bank, near Nablus city. I did my bachelor degree in India, and there I met the father of Mikal, Mr. Isam Khalidi. He's my close friend. So after we finished engineering, civil engineering in India, he went back to Jordan. I went to Algeria for working. Then after 3 years, he was having some things to be done in Jordan. After 3 years, we decided to come here to Thailand together to start a business. So that was 1987. So I'm here since then. We started together one export company. Then I went to southern part of Thailand, and the idea of making school started here in the south. As our topic is about diversity, actually, in southern part of Thailand, why I was interested about education, because I have seen like in some provinces Muslims are a majority, but you will find that they are living at the margin of their life. They are not in the mainstream of life. Although some of those provinces they have more than 80% are Muslims. You will not find a Muslim doctor. I'm talking about 25 years ago. We used to go to the hospitals. You will not find a Muslim doctor. I'm talking this because, that shows there is a disbalance in the society. When you say 80% of the population are Muslims and you don't find them in the mainstream, that can explain to you why there is a conflict in the South. Why Muslims, some of them, they want to separate from the mainland. Although for me, as an outsider, I did not see any reason for them to separate. I saw the government is equally fair to all components of the society. I didn't know anything about the history. Maybe 100 years ago there was a problem, but I am not aware of it. When I came here, I found the real situation at that time. But then when I thought about it, I discovered that because of lack of education in the South, that made the problem drag so long. Although the Thai government is inclusive, they want to include all the components, no matter what religion they belong to. But there are some people who wanted to separate. And I remember I was involved in one seminar about education, and I mentioned to them that if you don't improve education in southern part of Thailand, you will not solve this problem. That happened exactly around year 2000. And I told them from the data which I got that, southern part of Thailand will not be peaceful as long as we don't improve the education. Anyway, since that, my presence in the south, the idea of making a good quality school came into our thoughts, and Brother Islam, he was here in Bangkok, I was in the southern part of Thailand, so then we were sharing ideas, and our children, they start growing up. Is it working? It is.
So, what is your definition of diversity?
Yeah, this is what I will come to. See, diversity is when you meet people with different culture. Even sometimes they belong to the same religion, but with different culture, that is a diversity. Sometimes same culture, but different religion, this is another diversity. Sometimes it is different religion and different cultures, different languages. Sometimes these differences in languages, they can create problems because when you translate some proverbs or some sentences literally, it might create a problem. As an example, in Thailand they say "kin lom," like eat air. That is a good thing. But in Arabic, if you tell somebody go and eat air, it is like you are insulting him.
I never thought about that. How or why do you think it is that the diversity is important in like professional workplace, like school or your team of teachers?
Due to movement of people across the world, diversity is happening. I mean, you cannot say, oh, well, do I want to have the diversity or I don't have it? Wherever you go, you find it in the working place, you find it in the street, you find it in a coffee shop. So it is there, and we need to deal with it. And I think maybe the American intellectuals, they start focusing on it because if you look at American community, it is a very widely diversified community, and they come from maybe hundreds of countries with different cultures, languages, and they have that thing in their working place, in the schools. So they start coming up with theories and ways how to overcome the diversity obstacles or divides. So, I mean, if you ask me, do you really prefer to work in a diversified place or not? Maybe after this experience I would say yes, but maybe if you ask me when I was 30 years old, I would say no, because I was comfortable to be with the same culture and the same language.
This is a question to you. This question now, explain diversity. How did it play in your role for the school? All in all, how did diversity play in your own career? How did you contribute in the finding this school?
As I mentioned earlier, I studied engineering, my bachelor degree, I worked business, but I never found myself there. And then when we came with the other friends to create the school, from my nature, they have chosen me to be looking after this project. What is my nature like? I am a person who's not a controversial person. I don't like confrontation. I like to understand others, why they think like that. I'm not prejudiced. Even a person who has some idea against my idea, I like to understand his point of view and try to bring a compromise. So maybe that attitude, that nature made me selected for this position, and it helped me actually when we started the school by understanding people. Always I listen to the people. I try to think why they are thinking that way. It might be because of their cultural background. It might be because of their language, because of their religion, and that made it easy for me to solve problems. And I remember first time we made a camp for the teachers, because when you have teachers from different backgrounds, you need to create a team. And when you create a team, you cannot tolerate some differences, So I was telling them, see, if you think you are right, others might be right. And if you think others are wrong, you might be wrong. Because look at yourself. How did you gain your religion or your culture? It was put in you when you were a child. I mean, you never chosen that you want to choose this culture and adopt it when you were a child. Everything was put in you. The religion, the culture, the habits, right? The type of food. Everything was put in there by the family, by the society. So all of us, we gain our different cultures in the same method. It was put in us. Therefore, we cannot say, well, my culture is better than your culture. Why? You will ask why. There is no reason. It is just because I am. So if this is the logic, then if I am right, you will be right. If you are wrong, I will be wrong. Therefore, we need to accept each other as we are.
Okay, and may I ask, have you ever handled a situation where a colleague was not accepting of another person's cultures or national identity, some racism? Has that ever happened?
You know, no one accepts that he's a racist, but they will find some other justification to reject the ideas. Like suppose I receive complaint from students like, okay, this teacher, that teacher is giving some comments which might be understood as a racism. But when you talk to the teacher, he will deny completely that he's not racist, he's open-minded, he values diversity. But when, as I mentioned earlier, the prejudice issue, actually prejudice, it is within us, and many times we don't feel about it. We cannot monitor it. Like you say, you meet a group of Chinese people and you have a bad experience with them, they're speaking loudly. Then as a teacher, you go to the classroom and you say, see, these Chinese people, they always speak loudly. And if there's a Chinese student in the class, he will start thinking, oh, this teacher is a racist. So, here, things are very sensitive. I mean, in educational organization, nobody really behaves as very openly racist.
So, I want to ask, what have you done to even further your knowledge? Like you were studying civil engineering, right, and then you took a PhD in.
I did master degree in educational administration and then PhD.
And then PhD.
Yes.
And so, what have all this studying? How has it helped improve your professional development? And what are your achievements?
Actually, it helped me a lot in managing the school, and also it helped me a lot in developing some attitude, some approach towards learning, which I am trying to implement it here in the school, where mainly make the students at the center of the learning process, reducing the time being used by teacher. Let the students work more on seeking for the knowledge, which previously at the beginning of establishing the school, I was believing in such values, but when I was talking about them, very few people accept or agree about them. But then when I made my higher studies and I found the big educators in America and in Europe, they are having researches proving what I'm saying. So it helped me more and more to emphasize on such ideas.
Is your team actually, the leadership of the team, are they all committed to diversity? Do we have any problem? I mean,
They are committed to different levels. I cannot say all of them are committed to the same level.
so how do you make sure? How do you make sure that this thing happens?
Do you have training programs or?
We have professional development and we have some in-house orientation, like here in this meeting, we hold some brainstorming sessions. And when you want to convince a person about diversity, you don't need to just talk about diversity immediately. You just talk about what is the vision of the school, what is the mission of the school, and what is supposed the requirements of Ministry of Education, what are the requirements of the accrediting organization which is coming from America, because there are requirements and all of them, they talk about diversity. So the team, you can convince them about those requirements easier than talking about the diversity and make it like their own belief in it. When you talk about the benefit of the organization, because the organization needs diversity, then you can convince them.
So you're saying that this way of making everybody feel included, is it a useful strategy to address problems with culture diversity?
You know, in each and every organization, they have their vision, mission, expected learning outcomes, of course, as a school. And then you have the strategic plan, and all these things like the vision, the mission, were founded by the founders of the school, and they have been refined 2 times, I think, in 15 years. So all the team, you know, if every person comes to work in this organization, we expect him before he or she comes in to read the vision and the mission of the school. And of course, there are manuals, handbook for teachers, the rules and regulations governing the teacher life inside the school, rules and regulations governing the management team in the school. So all these rules and regulations, if we apply them with transparency, then surely everyone will feel his equal.
So it's basically you deal with situations with people, different cultures, basically the same way, no difference. Do you like deal strategy with this person, different culture? How do you have it like the same way or different way?
See, when it comes to the life of the school, like when we talk about academic achievement of the students, everybody should be committed to that because we are here to serve the students. Nobody can say, well, my culture, we don't pay much attention to this academic achievement. You know, first day in the school, when the school starts, what I tell to the teachers and the management, number one, if you did not write the vision and the mission of the school, please go and if you did not read it, please go and read them. If you don't agree with them, please don't continue working in the school because you will be torturing yourself. There will be conflict when people they don't have the same vision. And everyone comes here should have read the vision of the organization. So if you don't agree about it, don't bother yourself and apply for the job.
So basically, you believe that it's an effective strategy.
It is very effective strategy, yes. And number two, I tell them if you really don't like being a teacher, you are just taking it because you not to earn money. Again, you are torturing yourself and you are affecting the future of human beings, many human beings who are here to be helped and supported to build their future. So then it comes to the rules and regulations of the school. Everybody should follow those rules and regulations.
Talking about regulation, how would you handle a situation if someone made a sexist, racist, or homophobic remark, or even act upon those?
You know, we have in the teacher manual, we have the procedures. If you do this, the school will do this. If you do that, the school will do that. But before we reach to that one, we will call the person and talk with him or with her with open hearts and open mind. Because we need to create, to convince that person that what he did is really wrong. And for me, a person who makes a mistake doesn't mean he's a bad person. Like my philosophy in life is every human being is valued and sacred, but his behavior, it could be bad or wrong or good. So we discuss the behavior, we discuss the words which came out of his mouth, we don't discuss his personality or his entity. So in this case, we will help him to come out from defending himself. We will put himself aside. He's a very good person. But bring those talks, those remarks, put them on the table, and let us discuss them. So that helps a lot, to make people accept, yes, what they did or what they say is wrong.
Sometimes there is a belief that commitment to diversity conflicts with a commitment to excellence.
Maybe not in our case. Such statements, it could happen when you talk about the government and those governments who have to serve all the sectors of the community, and they have to give quota for different sectors. So they might have people who are not, professional or who are not really excellent in that job. But in our case, anybody who applies here, we need to check his CV, his experience, his background. We will interview him or her. We will ask, if we are not still sure, we'll ask them to give a demo class to make sure they are really excellent. So it doesn't happen here, but it might happen in some other setting, not in the case of our school.
So you would say that in a school, workplace, and for the student life, there is not much relationship between diversity and excellence?
Yeah. Because here, for the staff, we can choose the excellent staff from different backgrounds. And for the students, we can work together to improve their excellence.
Lessons learned through this diversity class. There are conflicts can occur in the same culture due to different religion, color, or even upbringing. We all gain our own cultures, and the same method can be influenced by family, society as well. Prejudice is not always a bad thing. It can be good if we avoid the negative side of it. Most people do not admit to be prejudiced to certain issues, even if it's obvious. Cultural diversity is all around us, and we must deal with it in a positive way. We must not stereotype a whole culture on the behavior of the small percentage of that culture. We must believe that all people are good. It's only the behavior, either good or bad.
I really appreciate
really want to thank you so much for your.
I thank you very much for giving me this opportunity also to share my values in life with you. I hope that some of these values will help you in spreading it also in your life, in your working place. So just believe that there's no bad guys. All the guys are good, but there's bad behavior and good behavior. Okay, thank you. God bless you.